Welcome to the War Business Podcast, hosted by Matthew Brunnemann, the author, Brendan Clark, your consigliere for all things war, and Dakota Maynard, the Appalachian war wizard. War is a business. Some would even call it a racket. Every modern war and every business has a carefully crafted marketing image. The War Business Podcast breaches that veil so you can hear the real stories of the average Americans who fight our wars and drive the war industry forward. Our mission is to tell the stories of conventional warriors. Let the captains of the war industry share their endeavors and inform the listeners of current global conflicts. All three hosts served in the United States Marine Corps and hold well-informed perspectives of war and war business. This concludes your introduction. Stand by for the episode.
Okay, and here's part 2 of Matt's episode. If you haven't already listened to part 1, go listen to our episode from last week. Back to the post-service part of our questionnaire here, Matt. In hindsight, would you have stayed in the Marine Corps longer?
I probably would have. I mean, I'm glad I got out. I met my wife post-service and kids. We had kids and, everything's great. But I mean, I miss it basically every day. I don't know if it's just miss doing hood rat stuff with Clark and Kajaki or, like maybe it's like an ex-girlfriend where you just remember all the good stuff and you don't really remember why she dumped you. But yeah, sometimes, most of the time, I wish I would have stayed in, but I'm glad I'm out.
I think it all works out in the long run. You got out and everything seemed to fall in place for you. It seems like you got a nice family, living the American dream, so I'm happy for you there. Before you got out, did you have any type of plan of what you were going to do when you got out of the Marine Corps?
Nope, not one bit. I just wanted out. So I made the decision basically on my second deployment that I'm getting out. Before I even, yeah, while in Afghanistan, before I came home, I'm going to do the um, voluntary early release program, the VERT program. So I just wanted out and I didn't care really, what that meant. And then, like Clark and I were talking about, when we got back from our second deployment, I was probably too drunk to come up with a coherent life plan, for those 3 months that I was living with him. So, yeah, no plan. I just figured, hey, GI Bill's there. So I'm just, college is coming. So got out, hung around San Diego area, Camp Pendleton area for about a month after I got out, saying my byes, goodbyes, stuff like that. Like Haw Baker, some of the other guys that, Clark and I had known that we all enlisted around the same time. We all ended up getting out the same time. So stayed around for a month, helping people move and hanging out and took off, left.
Well, San Diego's not a bad place to hang around. I always tell people I thought San Diego had better sushi than I found in Japan. Just
Disagree.
yeah, you can disagree. Sushi go around was fun, but man, I don't know. I like the sushi in the San Diego area. The food was good though. My God, San Diego.
That's because you're from Appalachia.
No, he's, he's used to eating charcoal briquettes and shit out at the coal mine in Appalachia, dude.
Yeah, the food. Man, did you guys ever go to Benihana's?
No,
No,
how do you spell that?
I think it's with a G. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
it's like a Japanese teppanyaki food, and where I'm from in Fresno.
Is that the
It
one where they flip the shrimp into your mouth and shit?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, cool, cool. Yeah, no, no, no.
I mean, just all the food down in San Diego sucked compared to up here in ag country, I guess. Sorry, didn't mean to cast aspersions on the Appalachian folk.
There's
Uh,
Johnny Appleseed and then a big old lump of coal for dinner, and that's Appalachia supper.
but we can agree to disagree about the food. I thought it was a food spot. Definitely a good beer spot though. It was like kind of when craft beer was surging in America and you could get all sorts of good craft beer from the locals or local areas around Camp Pendleton. They had this one that I liked a lot. It was called Cali Creaming or Cali Creamin'
Yeah, that one was
by
good.
oh my God, by Mother Earth Brewing Company. Man, best beer I've ever had.
You like that sweater weather. What is it called?
Yeah, there was one called
That's one you
Sweater
drink here,
Weather.
though. You like
Yeah,
the IPA, crafty, hoppy type shits, though. And that lent itself well to San Diego because they had, dude, what, a
man.
dozen breweries down there that was all on this hoppy IPA, crafty type shit. I had one called fucking Sasquatch Piss or something in like Huntington Beach, and it tasted like somebody had ate a bunch of pine needles and then took a piss afterwards. But it got you drunker than 10 Indians. My God. I was extremely intoxicated walking. It was my bachelor party, my fucking wiener ass bachelor party with like six dudes. And my buddy Bill was from Huntington Beach and wanted to go to some brewery and drink some Sasquatch piss? Sasquatch something. Foul.
When was this?
2012.
Okay.
It was before me and you met. This was in like March of 2012, I think. I went to Huntington Beach. They were like, you got to have a bachelor party because I had fucking, proposed via Skype and shit as
Romantic. Oh my
proposed via
gosh.
Skype on my barracks ass Wi-Fi. And
I'd have said yes.
yeah. I think it was something like this, like, you know what? We're both dating intentionally to get married. Why don't we just cut out the middleman so we can live together in sunny San Diego? And she's like, I'm poor from Oklahoma. I got shit going on. Why not? Anyway, so they're like, you got to
Also,
come up to, yeah.
you were told you're not, 1-1 is not deploying.
The real reason, you want to know the real reason? The fucking The real reason is because we field dayed for like 34 days in a row one time. We field dayed for like 34 days that we counted them. We field dayed. We moved into the Hilton up there at the top of the hill in Horno. Moved into Camelot, whatever it's called. And we had lived in those flat tops just off the 1-1 grinder, right? We moved out right as they resurfaced the 1-1 grinder. And we moved into this new five-star accoutrement. And they're like, fuck that. Guys are on sat or whatever. 34, 36 maybe days in a row. And I bet you half a dozen dudes in the platoon got married at the end of that period. Myself included. Swartzbeck, I know, did. Dude, I'm trying to think. I know there was more than that that got married. Oh, Snyder was one of them. We all thought Snyder was gay. He had a collection of Disney enameled lapel pins. Every time Disney released a new one, he's like, I gotta go to Disney, whatever, this weekend. Come back, show us. Like, stop showing us that, Snyder. We make fun of you every time. It always hurts your feelings. Anyway, so they had his field day, and I felt disrespected as a corporal who was roommates with a corporal, both of whom we kept our room super clean. There was nothing to it. We didn't have shit hanging up on the walls. It was super clean in there. And I was like, fuck that. I'm getting married, dude. I've been trying to get out of the barracks anyways. That's the real reason. Anyways, moose piss, Huntington Beach. Awful. I threw up.
A lot to unpack there, but yeah, I think me and our Bill were debating getting married one time to get out of all those fucking health and comfort inspections that was happening at Seventh. It's almost like, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. We'll just get married our own selves, and then we'll just
Why
fucking go
not?
get live off base. Fuck this.
Why
Um,
not?
yeah,
You guys were going to marry each other?
yeah. Why not?
Bill might have
Yeah.
lost his virginity on you guys' wedding night.
Damn.
I'm
He
just
got him
saying,
a
dude.
no, he got him a good gal. Dude, he was always dating these gals from the Midwest, like the northern Midwest. That was his type.
Bill's type is the kind that's wearing a shirt that says something about like biker week, and then he has a t-shirt that says, if you can read this, the bitch fell off, and then
Oh
they're
my
like at
God.
Walmart together holding hands, dude.
Man.
Love that guy, but I
Yeah.
mean, like real recognize real.
Yeah. I gotta tell you a funny story about those craft beers. I had a girlfriend whenever I was uh at Seventh and she lived only like 30 miles to the north, but it fucking took like 3 hours to get there on the 5 or the 15 after traffic is just standstill. You know what I'm talking about. That's the worst fucking traffic in the world. I went up there one time on a weekend, and her parents were like filling me out. Her dad was a pretty tough fella, and then they wanted to go to this craft brewery. And he kept getting me the strongest beers that they had. He was like measuring me out on how many I could have.
How do you know
Eh,
her dad was a tough fella? Did you guys wrestle?
yeah, no,
No
no, no,
way.
dude. He just was. I mean, you could, like when somebody's forearms are just so goddamn big, you're
All
like, if
right,
I
all right, all
fought
right.
this dude, he would fucking kill me. Um, Anyway, we went up to this crap brewer and he just kept getting me these strong beers. And I was like trying to just be tougher than him or whatever. And he also is like 300 fucking pounds. And back then I was probably like 150 pounds. So we're drinking these beers. And I'm like, I gotta go piss. And then I go to the bathroom and I'm throwing up. I'm fucking hammered and I'm puking. And I didn't know there was a little window in the bathroom that was open. So everybody out there was hearing me
Yes.
puking. And then her dad go out there and he's like, "You threw up?" I'm like, "No, I didn't." He's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm good. I didn't throw up." But yeah, he knew I was lying. Didn't work out. Um, yeah, it was one of like the last times I ever saw her. It all worked out. All right.
Damn.
Moving on. Matt, did you find transitioning out of the Marine Corps easy or hard, and why?
It was hard. It was difficult. Short answer, I would say most combat vets never transition. And then I guess I'll unpack that. So I found it hard for a few reasons. One was just not getting out with a plan, just saying, hey, I want out. I want anything else. So should have gotten out with a plan and kind of, created a plan, work the plan, stick to the plan type of thing. But also it's just when you come back from deployment, multiple deployments, but just any deployment, you just look around at everybody and you're like, man, this is all fake and gay and nobody cares about the war. Nobody cares about Marines dying, soldiers dying, whatever. People care, Americans care more about the Kardashians or whatever. So I just had this, I don't know, it just felt like, what am I reintegrating into? I don't want to care about the Kardashians or whatever. Um, Oddly enough, I had a few moments that would be like Ted Kaczynski, where I was sitting at a stoplight. Like, I hate stoplights. There's nobody around me. Why can't I go? Like, there's nobody. It's a red stoplight. Why can't I just drive? I hated not having freedom and coming back and living, by stupid, what I perceived as stupid rules, that type of thing. And then as far as, trying to get help and whatnot, I relied heavily on my family. So I'm fortunate in that aspect. Put a lot of, uh, man, I still feel real bad about it, but just put a lot of weight and heavy shit on one of my older brother's shoulders. Just like having to give him all my guns at one point and, explain to somebody why,
We've all
you,
been there.
yeah,
Let's be, we've
explain
all been there.
why you got to hold them for me. Um, so yeah, just, I mean, and also you just, I came back just, hard, brash, and rough around the edges. So it's like, oh, why is Uncle Matt talking about skinning Hodges at Christmas time? That type of thing. So it wasn't really, just I guess my behavior, demeanor, things like that were just way different. So it was, although I relied heavily on my family, I put them through hell for sure. So eventually I went to go, get professional help from the VA, which is the worst decision anybody could ever make. Um, and they, you know, I went on the VA candy thing and, that's just awful. Don't ever do that. I found the most, I guess, success with that endeavor through the vet center. So they're counselors who, at least the one in Fresno, all of the counselors were veterans themselves. So I had just through luck, I mean, I went in and asked, to see somebody, and the person that I was assigned, she was an Army reservist. She was a lieutenant colonel at the time, and she was also in intelligence. So it was just, I don't know, good person to talk to, and that's the extent of the vet center and counseling there. You just kind of talk and chat, and they can't treat you or anything like that, and then they don't share any of your records or conversations with the VA. So that was a perk. And yeah, so that was just uh, a difficult time, difficult, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years, not so much fun, but yeah, things even out, like what's the old saying, like this too shall pass. It does, time, give enough time and things have a way of working themselves out.
Yeah, and you had spent over 500 days in an active combat zone, and then you come back to America where the American citizen is mostly oblivious to anything going on in the world. We're basically privileged to live on a continent where we are the dominant power and everything's stable. So yeah, basically out of sight, out of mind, unless it's affecting them personally, they really don't pay much attention to it. Then you got to come back and deal with all of our stupid rules, and it's tough. I could
Yeah,
only imagine.
come back and live in the Matrix, dude. Stop at the stoplight. Return your shopping cart. I'm actually that was a joke. You should always return your shopping cart. And that's
Yep.
they need to develop some type of slur for people that don't return their shopping carts. When you were transitioning, what did you see out of other people that were transitioning? Like how much interaction, I don't know, how much comparison did you have?
Well, with the people that I served with, it was basically none. Like I went dark and just ghosted everybody for a couple of years. I don't know, just ghosted everybody. Didn't want to talk about it. Didn't know how to talk about things. Didn't a lot. Many of the guys stayed in. Yourself, Clark. I didn't want to be like, hey, this is you're still hooking and jabbing and woe is me, that type of thing. So I just also I felt like I'm not myself. I'm not one of the cool kids anymore. So I don't know. It was just pretty weird. But from the veterans that I did not serve with, they were the best resource as far as how to navigate through the VA, VA health, and then also the VA like benefit stuff, getting claims done, GI Bill, things like that. So that was good. And then also a lot of veterans, most veterans just piss me off just because of how much, I don't know, it'd be like, oh, my trauma this, my trauma that. I didn't
Damn.
I you know, I deployed on a ship and this and that, and it was so awful, and I don't know, I couldn't stand that, and yeah, that pissed me off a lot.
Type of vehicle did you go on deployment on there, Maynard? Some kind of a vehicle that it's not a tank.
Hey, I did everything the Marine Corps asked me to.
It doesn't fly. It's not on the
Yeah, a
ground.
little bit of a ship. Hey, that's on the
A
Marine Corps.
ship.
Hey, I joined the Marine Corps to go fight war, and they
They,
decided that that was not important.
Yeah, but you're
Yeah,
also not one of the people saying I've got
yeah.
PTSD from, reruns of Lion King. Like, just you hear a lot of weird stuff. So part of that is,
yeah,
I mean, we all have our own, like we own our own decisions, but when people are trying to maximize their VA claims, they gotta tell the VA and tell everybody, how awful life is and everything that happened to them. And then they have to do it for so long that they start to believe it and
yeah,
then live it. And then
I was going to say the number one person to sell your sob story to, if you want to convince the VA, is sell it to yourself, dude.
yeah. So
That's
yeah.
when I was working in politics at the congressional office, dude. It was every single case that came through that was a VA case. I got read in on essentially like, hey, here's what's going on, any thoughts before we just kick him to the VA caseworker. And there were so many like that where it's just like, dude, you did 2 years in the guard so you didn't have to go to Vietnam. Just be glad you didn't go to fucking Vietnam, Now 50 million years later, you want to go and get 1,000% from the fucking VA. Dude, please
yeah.
get real.
Probably a flawed system in both aspects. I mean, I knew guys, our home inspector was a guy that was in Iraq in 2004, a tanker, got blown up by a hand grenade, got out, and then the VA had given 10%. And then you hear about somebody in the Air National Guard that never left the States or whatever getting 100%.
Somebody from
Uh,
Seventh Engineers getting 100% for PTSD from boot camp.
yeah, you know, and they're playing the system. I don't know. I felt like I got my 30%. I thought that was justified for hearing loss because the goddamn ear pro had a fucking hole in them.
Why'd they do
Thanks,
that?
thanks to I don't know who designed that
Why the
fatal
fuck?
flaw.
Why the fuck would they
And
do that? That doesn't make sense.
yeah, that was pretty much undeniable. And then not to get too sidetracked, but like before I was even gonna get out, I had to go take all these special hearing tests because all my shit was fucked up and you couldn't like hide it or whatever. You know, you can like guess on the clicker the best you can. Y'all probably know what I'm talking about. Anyway, like I'm guessing, but like I'm getting it wrong. And it was like I clicked it one time and it was like only click the button when you hear the noise. And I was like, fuck. And they put me in like this special hearing test. And did y'all ever have to do the ones where you read back what they say to you? They're like cat, dog, hot dog, and then you got like all this shit, and you got like
Maybe. I think
repeat
so.
it back, and then like they put this special shit in your ears. And anyway, I had gotten like 1 out of 10 right on my left ear, and like 0 out of 10 right in my right ear. And then that lady was like, "Your ears are so bad, we're gonna have to change your MOS." And I was like begging her. I was like, "You cannot do that." I was like, "I'll just get out. Like, please do not do that." And she's like, "Well, they might could put you in like the supply shop." I was like, "Oh no, please do
Oh,
not.
Jesus.
That would be worse than anything."
I
Um,
just have my ears amputated before I went into supply.
oh man, yeah, I didn't want to skate or do anything. I just wanted to be a fucking engineer, which the Marine Corps made it impossible. Like if you really liked your job and you just wanted to do that for your
Oh, God.
entire time in the Marine Corps, well, you can forget about that. Like you want to pick up, gunny or something like that, then you're gonna go have to be a fucking drill instructor or recruiter, and then pray that there's enough boat spaces for staff NCOs in your MOS whenever you get done with that. And so it was often like the case for us, like we would have first sergeants and shit that were, leading engineer companies, but they'd come from like, they'd be like a fucking embarker or somebody from supply. Like we never had a first sergeant that was a combat engineer the entire time. I think one of the flaws of the Marine Corps. Sorry to get sidetracked on that, but I think that's something that we can talk about
I'm going to
in depth on
sidetrack
a
for
future.
one more second.
Okay.
Brunnemann, you remember our sergeant major at 1-1?
Yeah.
He was a combat engineer that went F
Really.
on his E8 fit rep. And I didn't realize that he was a combat engineer until he ran for state legislature or some shit. And I read his bio, and it was like combat engineer back in the day or whatever. And fucking horrible, horrible example of that tribe. You suck, dude. It's
Yeah,
nuts.
you talking about the guy that wrote his own Silver Star citation?
This is a Bronze
Bronze?
Star.
Oh,
This is a
excuse
Bronze
me.
Star. Yeah, he would have never got approved for a Silver Star because he had no valor in his anything. So yeah, though that guy.
I guess it would be ironic that he was our sergeant major and he was an engineer, and the engineers that we had for that deployment refused to go outside the wire. And
Cut from the same cloth.
yep, and then he had the audacity to come and tell us that we're undisciplined cowboys.
Bunch of fucking cowboys
Better please your
unsat.
mustaches.
It was just exactly like that Sergeant Major 60 guy. Less
Yeah.
less child crimes post service.
I want to elaborate this on like transitioning. I think whenever a young man, particularly in the Marine Corps, joins the Marine Corps at the age of 18 or just very young, and you spend your first years of like being an adult on your own in the Marine Corps, and when you leave that, there's quite a bit of soul searching that you have to do whenever you get out. And I think it does take a few years just to get used to the way that things are done in the civilian world. Like you can't really fight as many people or be as angry or do these crazy things. Like in the Marine Corps, if you really had a problem with somebody, you just go fight it out in the tree line. And it's not like that in the civilian world or like if you and your corporal didn't get along, or like say you're a junior Marine and your corporal didn't get along, like you might just fight it out. But then you go to the civilian world and then you get bad bosses and then you can't say shit, can't fight them, and then so you just have to eat all this bullshit in the civilian world, and it's really hard to deal with, and it takes quite a few years just to get used to the way that the civilian world works, and you're starting it in a little bit of a disposition because you're so used to the Marine Corps. Then you go into the civilian world, whereas everybody else got out of high school and then entered the civilian world, and that was all they knew. So it's kind of like the red pill, and it's hard to go back to the civilian reality of things.
Did you ever watch The Pacific?
Oh yeah,
So I think it might be the last episode, maybe second to last episode, when Sledge is trying to sign up for college and the registrar or whatever is like, okay, what kind of skills do you have? Do you know how to type? No. Do you know how to this, that? No, no, no. And then she's like, so what did the Marine Corps teach you?
killing
They
Japs.
they taught me how to kill Japs, and I'm real good at that.
Yep.
Unfortunately, none of us killed any Japs, but I think it just reinforces what you're saying.
They taught me all wrong. Did they taught me all wrong?
Yep. I mean, it's hard to translate those skills into the civilian world. You know, you're a good paying job is an office job, and you get your GI Bill, and usually that's what you're going to get when you get out is a office job. And
Well,
man, it's tough.
think about the shit that these dickheads that you work directly for 4, 6, 8, whatever years, they're like, go shoot your rifle good. Fucking important skill. All right, go swim good. Important skill. Be the good at climbing the rope fast. Be the one that's the fastest at doing the obstacle course. For us as engineers, like be autistic about how you sweep for metal, like IED mines. Like be perfectionist about how you build your expedient charges, whatever. Literally zero of those things that it's like you're gonna get your ass beat if you fuck these things up. That's how important they are in the Marine Corps. Literally zero of those things. Like you can go to work in the Marine Corps and the guy with the best PFT will be your platoon sergeant, but he might actually be unable to read. He might be your first sergeant, and he probably will be unable to read. And you go to the civilian side, and you have the most grotesque, just morbidly obese person in charge of you. Like that's part of the transition that I've never heard anybody from the VA or anybody from any of the various like NGOs, nonprofits, whatever, I've ever heard anybody tackle is like the culture shock of going from fucking man country. The things that help you be successful in the Marine Corps are the things that would have helped you be successful on the Oregon Trail. Like, did you know how to make your fucking Conestoga wagon float across the river? Yes, no. Like, are you strong enough to split wood with an axe? But in like the fake and gay civilian world, like Matt was referring to earlier, that's the thing is like nobody that you see around you, it's completely vexing to a person that's just leaving the like combat arms community or combat roles in the military to see these people that would survive for all of fucking 6 seconds. They get off the plane and collapse of a heat stroke in Afghanistan. They go to run range 400 in 29 Palms and they ND into their own face as soon as they step across the line of departure. Like it's just completely vexing and backwards to go to work and answer to these people as like a 23-year-old hard dog. These are the things that define authority to a young person in the Marine Corps. And so then you have to go to campus and learn from the obviously mentally ill TA that like pisses in a litter box or whatever. And it's those are the things that make transition like out of the service the most confusing and like frustrating experience in my experience. That was the things that made the worst days for me is like, why the fuck is this person the one that's in charge of whether or not I'm successful today?
Yep.
I've never
That,
heard
that
anybody tackle that.
everything you said was true, and I'm going to take it just one step further. So it's be the best at climbing rope, be the best, you have that drilled into your head. Be the best at every single thing you do, and then that's what the Marine Corps teaches you, expects from you. That's what you live, and then you get out, and it's stop making us all look bad. that's the culture you walk into with the workplace. We don't want to work that hard, whatever. Like there's a grind here, and it's, the slowest possible. Stop rising above it. You're not your skills, your just innate sense of being is not wanted here.
It's a
You're,
not everything's a competition. Like I wasn't competing. If this was a competition, I would just walk in and they would give me the trophy.
Yeah.
Kind of a day in the life, you know?
And if you take the Marine Corps mentality into the civilian job market, here's what's going to happen. You're going to do the best you possibly can. Initially, you're going to get praise. And then what they do is they start to give you more work. You're not going to get a raise or anything like that for being the best performer. They're just going to give you more and more and more and more. Next thing you're working late, you're trying to do everything because you really want to do a good job. And eventually they'll give you so much work to do because you're outperforming everybody without a raise or anything like that. And then you'll start to underperform. And then they'll start to like write you up. You'll get write-ups and all these things. And then they'll start to work on kicking you out the door. And the only thing that ever made me want to kill myself getting out of the Marine Corps is the fucking corporate HR culture when you go get a job. Sunshine and rainbows, everything is great. Ultra positivity, never say anything negative. And it's not the real world. And you have all these companies and people quit. You say one bad thing, you're getting a write up, or you have one real conversation and you're being negative and you're getting wrote up. That shit I fucking hate so much.
it's the opposite of humanity. It's humanity, life, or whatever is not sunshine and rainbows. It's dirty, it's messy, people, there's conflict, this and that, but HR is like, we have this expectation of you to be a robot, quasi homosexual robot, everything's great. Yeah, HR is
Yeah.
bad.
And in the
It's
Marine
the
Corps, for the most part, everybody's green. I never saw really any racism or anything like that in the Marine Corps. You were either a good Marine or you were not. That became a little bit gray area with female Marines, and we can talk about that later, but it doesn't matter what you are. You could be gay, black, you could be an Israeli, Palestinian, Jew, all at the same time. If you were a good Marine, then usually you got the merit for that. But in the civilian world, you start to get diversity hires where if you are basically just a straight white man, in just my opinion, you're not going to get the promotion. It needs to be somebody that's diverse being elevated. So it's not any type of merit-based promotions in the civilian job market. It's all who you are. And that's a major negative, in my opinion, about the civilian job market.
if you're just a regular, degular douchebag, fuck boy, white kid from Tulsa, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. If your job is lifting up bags of concrete and you can lift them up faster than anybody else, but you're just a regular, degular Joe Jones from the fucking trailer park in Tulsa, dude, you back of the line.
Pretty much. Just a big culture shock, as it is going into the Marine Corps. It's a big culture shock when you go into the Marine Corps. It's a big culture shock when you get out of the Marine Corps. I think it makes it tough for a lot of people to transition successfully.
I never met
Yeah.
so many people that didn't flush when they took a shit as like the first receiving week of boot camp. It was a lot of people just shitted in them toilets and did not flush. And I was like, what? Where are these people from? Where do they live that this is normal?
Anything else you want to talk about on transitioning, Matt? I know you talk about it in your book, and we can cover that on that episode, but is there anything
Yeah,
you
we
want
can
to talk
move, we
about
can
here?
push.
So what gave you the most peace after your service?
Mm, s- I mean, part of it would have been time. Um, yeah, time. And then my family, getting married, kids, it has, a way of settling you down, putting things in perspective, worrying about something else other than your superficial problems. And then just the church, the holy sacraments. Go
What
ahead.
is it about the holy sacraments that give you peace?
It'd be, well, God is the source of truth and goodness and love. So if you are in communion with God, you are in communion with truth, goodness, love. And part of how you get into communion, part of how you're able to receive the Holy Eucharist is you have to go to confession. And I think that was probably what helped the most was not necessarily being absolved from my sin, but actually going through doing an accounting of all the ways in which I have erred and things I had been complicit in, passively, actively, just things like that. And uh, basically, you can't run from it. You're acknowledging, these are the errors of my ways. And the priest can either absolve you or not. There are other sacraments like, being getting married and things like that, but I would say, the source and summit of the Christian faith is the Eucharist, and the prerequisite to that is having gone to confession.
That's a tricky room to go into some days.
Yeah.
Maybe speaking for myself, but sometimes I'm in there like could just walk out to the truck and leave. I don't even gotta go tell this guy.
God, I'd love to be a fly on the wall and confession sometime, or like put a little microphone in there just to hear some of the crazy shit
The
people are.
priest gets to push the button and evaporate you straight to heck if you get caught doing that, because it's a big sin if you eavesdropping. If you're dropping eaves on other people's confessions, it's the second biggest one.
And Matt, we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but did you ever find yourself talking to your priest about some of the things that you had either done in Afghanistan or seen or been involved with? And is maybe that what gave you some peace too by being able to tell a priest those things?
Yeah, I didn't go into detail like, hey, Father, I need to talk about cutting a newborn or a stillborn baby in half twice. Like, I didn't go into full detail, but just, generally going over some of the things just from war. And then also, hey, I was doing boxed wine races in the barracks and trying to throw lance corporals off the second deck catwalk. Like, so when you before you go to your confession, you kind of itemize everything and then distill it into maybe themes. I've hurt people in these types of situations, things like that, or I've, blasphemed God and these type of things, but not, necessarily going into like, all right, Father, you're gonna have to sit here for 6 hours and we're gonna read this off line by line, not that type of thing. But yeah, it was beneficial to talk about the things I did, but also the other half was, let's see, I got out 2013. Every year we find more and more stuff out about Afghanistan and, a lot of the real dark stuff that was going on there. So it was like, man, I was glad to serve, loved damn near everyone that I served with, would do it again, but I was complicit in some heinous stuff. So being able to confess that as well, acknowledge, hey, I did this or I helped move this along, that type of thing. So yeah, being able to at least speak to somebody about that was very beneficial.
I think whatever gives you peace, no shame in that unless it's something fucking awful, like manufacturing meth, maybe don't find peace in that. But I think it's good that you found some peace through that. What about any type of hobbies? Do you find yourself getting into any new hobbies or things like that to maybe take your mind off of these things?
I'm always, just working on some sort of project around the house, backyard, that type of thing. So that's, therapeutic in that respect. Um, Duck hunting this morning. I remember it was just before shoot time started, and I can't even remember what I was thinking about, but it was some sort of angst. And in that moment, I thought, hey, I'm not here for that. I'm here for the ducks. And right now, I can't even remember what I was worrying about a few hours ago. So things like that are very beneficial.
What do you shoot them ducks with?
A shotgun,
Oh, what kind of
Yeah,
shotgun?
12 gauge,
What
what
kind
kind
of
of
12
12
gauge?
gauge?
an over under.
What kind of
Yeah,
over under?
Browning
A
Clitori?
huh?
Is it a Browning Clitori? What are you shooting
No,
them with?
no, it's a Stoker Condor. I don't know
What do
if
you
you've,
really shoot them with? Come on now.
yeah, I don't know
No,
if you've ever heard of this thing, but if you have like 50 or 60 extra bucks, you could get one.
I heard it was throbbing and vascular in your hands, and that's why you liked it. That and the mouth feel. That's what sold you on it.
your
Pretty good.
Condor has the fucking sickest paint job. You have the most badass Condor
Do you have it
out
handy?
there.
Can you show the camera?
No, it's with the kids.
Oh, perfect. Why not?
Yeah.
You got William practicing his speed reloads.
Yeah, I specifically got the synthetic furniture on it so I can spray paint the shit out of it and give it the Krylon treatment. Make it look like the duck ponds, but also, I mean, I love spray painting stuff.
Dude, I talk that
Sometimes
trash or
even
whatever.
towels and sniffing them.
The best gun that you have is the one you like the most, though. Like it don't matter. I like my AR-15, but I'm here to tell you, my favorite is my AK, and it's just a hog leg of an AK. I have got that barrel white hot shooting it. It's had different furnitures on it. It's not an accurate rifle, but it's the one I like the most because it's stupid fun, and I feel like your Condor is the same way.
I mean, it's one like my AR. I never. It's a safe queen basically. My
Yeah,
Condor is.
yeah.
I can beat. It's it's a Latin. It's a Latin woman. You could ride it hard and put it away wet. It's gonna be just fine.
It's
Uh
Oh my God.
yeah, you can
okay.
get it all. I mean, it was raining, it was pissing rain all morning, so I just, I felt no I didn't care. It was getting all
Yeah.
over the
What
corner.
does
That
it
thing's
matter,
killed
right?
geese, pheasant, all kinds of ducks.
Maybe deer at some point. You
Okay.
got two barrels, you can put birdshot in one and buckshot in the other. I wouldn't shoot a slug out of it.
I
No,
think you
probably
could.
not.
You take chokes out, put a slug in the top and a slug in the bottom, and see
Sportsman's
what
has
happens.
some slug chokes.
It's just a cylinder choke. All it does is just protects the threads on the end of the barrel where the chokes thread in. But
Huh.
if you're shooting, well, you can't shoot lead slugs though, huh? You have to shoot
Nope.
tungsten.
Copper is all I
Copper.
can find out here.
Okay,
Gotta fucking
tungsten may be too heavy. I don't
maybe too
know.
expensive.
Yeah, well,
My
copper's
God.
not getting any cheaper, so
No.
Yeah, California, you can't shoot lead if you're hunting. So it's for ducks, it's generally steel shot, but
What was
I was
the
seeing the
cool down
bis
period on your Condor when you bought it? How long did you
oh,
have to
10
wait?
days.
10 days, man.
10
said 10
days.
days so you don't shoot too
Hey,
many ducks or something.
I
Just
boy,
mean,
shoot.
that's every obviously that's unconstitutional and stupid, but it's even dumber that I have a concealed carry permit. So I had a thorough background investigation from DOJ, FBI, and whatnot. So I don't know, why do I have to wait 10 days when I already have that permit?
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, not to mention you carried a fucking M4 with a 203 in Afghanistan fighting for your state of California overseas, and they're like, you know what, we better make you wait 10 days here on this Condor. That would be tough for me to live in a state like that. Um, I'll always be used to just going to the gun store and then walking out that day with the gun. I guess it's a privilege that we take for
It's
granted.
it is frustrating. I bought a bolt action rifle in California, and they're like, I bought it from another dude, like a private transaction, and we had to take it to a gun store per California law and get it FFL transferred. And I'm like, they're like, all right, thanks for giving us your money. Thanks for, it's $50 or whatever it was. And I give the dude I don't know, it was $600 or something. And then they're like, well, see you in 10 days. And I was like, you tell me I spent 600 and $700 and I'm gonna walk out of here empty-handed and just come back in 10 days. And it's like, you guys do that all the time. And they were like, yeah. So you can't. I said, give me the bolt or something. And so they gave me the bolt to the rifle and it sat in my center console for 10 days. I went and picked the rifle up. I was like, this is the most jackasstic thing. This is ignorant as hell. A bolt action rifle, the bullets for which cost $2 a piece. It's 30 caliber or better bolt action. $2 a piece bullets. And you guys think that I'm buying this from the dude from base housing to what? Rob a bank or to get at my jilted lover? Get real.
is this your 300 Win Mag?
Yeah. The one I shot a year ago and haven't cleaned.
It is nice, or it
It is,
was.
well, it was, it used to be pretty cool
It was
a year
cool before it
ago.
was pitted.
It's your
Yeah,
Latin, bro.
now January 1, California, we can't even have gun parts shipped to our house. Now, even if you want to buy a sling online, it has to go to an FFL.
That's
A
awesome.
magazine, optics, not can't be shipped to your house anymore.
We got to get a Trans Am like a 73 or something. Trans Am, we got to get a semi. We got to load it up with Blue Force Tracker 2-point slings. And me and Maynard's fixing to make a haul, make a run for legal reasons as a joke. I don't want to go to prison.
Yeah, I bet California's taking all that money that they're getting from all these extra transactions and supporting those clean needle programs where you can go get your free needles because that definitely doesn't kill anybody. But we better make sure the guns don't kill people. Anything else we want to talk about as far as what gave you peace after your service, Matt?
I'll throw one more thing in real quick. So, I guess you could say I was already doing well before I wrote the book, but writing the book was helpful. Not, I didn't set out to write the book. I just wanted, basically, since I never had talked about my service with any of my family to that point, I kind of just sat down and started writing some stories out for my oldest son. Only had one son at the time. So it was like, just kind of like, hey, I was almost cool one time in my life, believe it or not. Here's some proof, read it in 20 years or don't. But ended up being cathartic. But I only really bring that up because, for the bazillions of listeners that are going to listen to this episode, my publisher, Wargate Books. I was the first war memoir that they had published, and they want to do more. So do it. Send it to them.
Break, break, break. Time for a 5-minute gear check, boys. This would be a good time for you to like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and we would really appreciate it. Don't forget that we want to interview veterans, so reach out to us if you want to have your service documented. Let other veterans know too. You guys can use the comment section, our socials, or the podcast email. Find us and follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and Substack. And go buy yourself a copy of War Business, The Hired Guns of Helmand Province. You can buy that on Amazon or through the Wargate store. If reading isn't your forte, then we've got you covered with the audiobook. Thank you for listening to this episode of the War Business Podcast, and we appreciate all of your support. Let's get you back to the episode.
Put in that story about the time we put a tarantula in Bill's hat at the rifle range. That'd go into Maynard's memoir.
You guys could write your love story about your quarter shitters on Leatherneck where you guys were alone and scared and
yeah, you never got a chance to get alone and scared in a porta shitter on
I
Leatherneck.
fucking wish I did.
Yeah,
I wish I
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
That's on the
tell
Marine
porta
Corps.
shitter story?
No, we haven't told it. You should.
Okay. So this is second deployment. Around a month before we come home, our company commander, I don't know what we were talking about, but at the end of our conversation, he was like, "Oh yeah, have you seen that tiny little hole in the door of the porta shitter?" So, "Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about." He said, "It'd be real funny if that said Corporal Clark's glory hole on there." And I don't know, like,
Bill, no, is that because like this was we were all like cast away, like handprint on volleyball levels of in fucking sane at this point from being extended. Like the company commander's like, we're extended. I don't know when we're done being extended. So try and maintain some sense of reality, but it's starting to slip for me too. And so we're like, we recognized that it was an absurd world we were living in. And we took the time to enjoy absurd things every now and then. And so the company commander in an infantry rifle company in Afghanistan with a combat mission doesn't typically prank the pogue fucking tweaker corporal that works in the COC. Was a unique circumstance.
very unique. So I did it. I just took a Sharpie in there and wrote it on there. And I don't know, a day or two later, I'm like, "Hey, he said that'd be real funny." I'm reading in between the lines here that he wants to see it. So, anyways, I did it. I don't know how long goes by before Gunny Mickle pieces you up.
I can't remember.
'Cause
First Sergeant Lopez that died, that freaking got after me. But he got after me about something else, and then he tacked it on to the end, and then he's like, "Oh, one more thing."
We were both there whenever
Hmm.
he was yelling and he finished it off with, why did he's telling Clark,
He's yelling at me.
why did you write Corporal Clark's glory hole on the shitter door? He's like, I didn't do that for a starter. Why would I? I mean, I'm not playing a joke on myself. Meanwhile, I'm the one who did it, and I'm letting Clark get pieced up by, this 4'11"
Big
supply
Illiterate,
brain.
dude that's
illiterate
now,
supply marine, dude.
yeah. Anyways, he thinks he did it. And I mean, that was probably like the most fun about it was I'm standing there, the guy who did it, and the guy who the joke is being played on is being yelled at about it. Anyway, so he says, "Go clean that up." And he
He
said it's
said, "Go cover it up." He said, "Go cover it up."
and it was in Sharpie. So we decided to go get some black spray paint. And
He made me spray paint. This is where this punchline derives from. He made me spray paint all the graffiti off of the porta shitters. But there was one piece of graffiti that somebody had taken just a Sharpie, the thin Sharpie line of a giant cock and balls, the size of the whole door of the porta shitter. And so I'm like, what do I do? Just spray paint the whole fucking door? So I just spray painted the outline of the cock and balls on the inside of the door of the porta shitter. And then, and then I did the standard like spray over like Corporal Clark's glory hole. It said like Looper's a cum whore, like Wagner loves the cock, whatever. From where I spray painted the dick and balls on the inside of the door of the porta shitter, because it was so bright and sunny in fucking Helmand Province, from the outside, the door was just translucent enough to where if you're walking up to the porta shitters at noon, you can see this giant cock and balls on the inside of the porta shitter door. And First Sergeant, that might have taken one of his 9 lives when he noticed that. It might have wiped out one of his 9 lives because he was steaming fucking mad. He was steaming. And I think that was when our company commander came clean about commissioning the original art that was in question in the first place. Because First Sergeant's freaking the fuck out. He's like, I told you to clean that shit up, and you fucking emboldenified that one and made it perhaps even bigger or whatever. And the company commander's like, what are you fucking spurging out about there, Pedro? And First Sergeant's like, fucking Corporal Clark, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, what? Corporal Clark's glory hole? And First Sergeant's like, you saw that, sir? Motherfucker, I commissioned it. Brunnemann is my Michelangelo, dude.
that's right.
I
That's right.
love that. Porta shitters anywhere around Marines will always have Wagner loves the cock, dick and balls. I saw one time of the most beautifully etched spread legs and vagina with a pocket knife in 29 palms. Like something, I mean, they should have cut that out. Like when they decommissioned that porta shooter, they should have cut that out and sold it. I mean, it was so well done.
There
Um,
was in the shower trailers on Leatherneck, there was a whole fucking mural that was like different. It was like Cockzilla, and there was like AH-64 attack helicopters shooting like AIM-9 cock missiles. It was a fucking like 3x5 well-drawn mural of just various penis creatures and machines having a combat scene. And I remember seeing that and thinking like only in the fucking Marine Corps would somebody be that talented and put it to that perfect a use. Only in the Marine Corps would somebody be that talented. And they're probably the biggest shitbag in their company because they got caught doing graffiti one time 2 years ago. Now they've never been caught since. But the guy was a fucking legitimate artist.
and Matt, you had mentioned that you're good at spray painting. Maybe the statute of limitations are up on this. As a kid, did you ever spray paint something that wasn't supposed to be spray painted?
I mean, we did some heinous stuff around the neighborhood, but I don't think we ever spray painted anything. Our house got egged one time, and whoever did it had used shaving cream on the driveway. And that stain, whatever, I don't even remember what they drew or wrote out, but that was there for like 5 years before that wore off.
Oh yeah.
Just like a darker, it looks like the concrete's wet where it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on here. If you could go back in time and give yourself some advice about getting out, what advice would you give yourself?
It's probably just to stay inside the Intel community, go straight into, being a contractor. And mind you, at the time, like what was an E5 making in
Dick.
2012?
I don't
Like
know, like
30
1100,
grand, huh?
1100
no,
or something per paycheck?
no, it was more than that. It was like
15, I think, 15 or
it was
17, I think.
1750-ish, maybe.
So anyway, so you're bringing home like 36 grand a year, but the Intel contracting jobs were like some of those contractors when I was in Afghanistan were making two, three, 400 grand. Your entry level were making 150 grand, and like they were just taking people. If you were in the military and you had a clearance and a pulse, you got the job. So, anyways, the advice I would give would probably be just go straight into the Intel, stay in the Intel community on the contracting side, and don't go to college.
It says E5 with over 4 years, 2487 a month base pay. So
Right now,
in 2012. Right now it's probably 6 grand a month base pay. They got some fat raises in the intervening 14 or so years.
I don't remember us getting that 1776 freedom dividend, but I do think we got furloughed one of those months we were in Afghanistan.
Thanks, Obama.
Literally, for real. Thanks a lot, Obama.
Or
J
sequestered. Sequestration, I think it was. I don't know.
Obama as the president, General Amos as the commandant, just like the best
It's
time to
four
be in
grand
the
a month for 4 grand a month for E5 over 6 years of service. Obama was the president, Amos was the commander in chief, and Joe Biden was running the White House into the ground, and we were in Camp Leatherneck, Afghanistan.
hooking and jabbing. And that's good to note about the contractor side. And I hope we can do a few episodes on this because I don't think the day-to-day normal civilian realizes how many civilians are involved in the military and how much fucking money they make. You see this a lot with like the air wing or like mechanics on rotary wing or whatever. Do their job in the military, make fucking next to nothing, get out, do the same job as a civilian, become a millionaire in a few years. It's kind of the pathway I think a lot of veterans take is if you can get into that contracting side of things, that's where you end up doing well for yourself. Another thing to note about that is I think maybe we just do an episode on mercenaries and America's use of contractors as basically a loophole. Like we may draw down the troops, but we may surge a bunch of private contractors and mercenaries into an area to make up for something.
Big time.
Yep, all politics. Well, to wrap us up here, we have a few bonus questions for you. Where do you see America in the next 50 years?
I would say probably one of two paths. First would be the path of prosperity, and second would be a continuation of where we're going now. So, the path of prosperity, I would see us seizing Greenland, taking that northern sea route, the shipping route that's thawing. Not only are we going to have natural resources, a whole bunch of natural resources, but also that, Arctic ice wall that we have defending the north and the east part of our nation, that's thawing. So us taking that over um, would be good. And big kicker on there is I mean, there is possibility for us to have some sort of, um, you know, 50-year, 100-year peace Arctic pact with Russia. They have obviously interest there, but also so do the Chinese. So if we can, because of what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, if we can use the Arctic, the Greenland, the Arctic to, take Russia out of the arms of China, um, and China wants to use the Belt and Road Initiative and whatnot to get all of their slave-made goods into Europe. That Northern Sea route would save them a shit ton of money and time doing that. So if we can, I think there's a way that we can ally with Russia and put this whole thing Russia bad thing to bed and just secure some European prosperity that way. Um, American and European prosperity that way. As far as where we're going now, second route, where we could be in 50 years, I would say probably like a late stage empire, no longer the dollar hegemonic power of the world. Um, Nowhere good. I think we'd probably have toppled enough governments and regime changed enough countries to where we have opened our borders to a whole bunch of people that want to kill us, or relegate us to a third world nation.
I think for the listener who might think you're crazy thinking that we would ever be in an alliance with Russia, pretty sure we fought at least one war with all of our allies now, some multiple wars. The United States is quick to forget things of the past if it's going to benefit them in the future. Brennan, you want to
Yeah,
throw
I mean,
anything on that?
we were allies with Russia when they were communists. We were feeding,
Yeah, we were.
arming them when they were at arguably their worst. Uh, Killing Christians and priests and whatnot, and we were their allies at that point. So, whatever they are now, yeah, it doesn't seem so far-fetched that we wouldn't ally with them. Hell, we just installed a former ISIS Al-Qaeda commander as the president of Syria, so we can get into bed with some strange fellows.
Oh, and we do.
Speak for yourself, Maynard. Maynard knows about getting into bed with strange dudes. Got his ass.
Yeah, we'll see. That's pretty insightful there, Matt. Um, Another America-related question for you. Who or what do you see as the biggest threat to the American people?
On an individual basis, I would say SSRIs. All right, I don't know, is it like over 50% of people are on SSRIs, and those make you crazy. Um, and when you're crazy and or whatnot, you're controllable. But also, on a collective level, I would say all of the lies that we have been told for decades now at this point, through state media and private media and whatever, it's just going to break the American people. It can't remember what study this was, but it was something with psychology, and it was about when you raise kids and you're always lying to the kids, they grow up to be psychopaths. And so, just with America being force-fed lies, hey, why we got into the Civil War, or who we were
All for
allied with in
Tonkin.
World War II, or what did or didn't happen with the USS Liberty, or just why did we invade Iraq or Afghanistan? That you just decades of lying is just going to break the American people and break apart our cultural fabric. And then on the foreign relation piece, I would say our biggest threat would probably be it would be our foreign policy, to where we have been importing a bunch of third world people who we have no idea who the hell they are or what, they come from countries where they don't have background checks, IDs, this, that. So we bring them in just unvetted. And obviously they come in and grift and whatnot. Like you see all the Somali fraud or whatever. But that's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, they want to kill Americans. That's probably our biggest foreign policy threat, aside from getting into World War III.
To piggyback on that, I think that the real danger comes whenever there are, and I'm not saying this has happened, but say like a political individual, that has an interest in importing people from these fucking shithole countries because they want to kill Americans. And that probably hasn't happened thus far. But it's also, so why would you import people from some of these countries? Why would you? What, to what end? There's a to what useful end is an American politician endangering Americans? That's a pretty nebulous question. The FDR did it in World War II. He endangered Americans when he said we're going to live in infamy forever or whatever. It's like the nebulous Nature of that question is as far as your imagination can go. But I think that that's when the real danger comes in. I don't think that we're super far from there being interested parties who would engage in that, specifically importing populations from shithole countries because they want to harm Americans. That these people have labeled, oh, these people are our enemy, these people are Nazis, these people are whatever. So we import these groups of people from these shithole countries on purpose because they hate them more than we do. It's maybe not exactly one for one accurate to what the plan might be, but I wouldn't
Can
put
I
it above some people to plan on that.
can I piggyback off that?
You piggyback
Since
as much as you want.
I'm going to piggyback on your piggyback. So this is not
It's not a
completely
caveat.
supportive of my analogy, but from what you're saying about politicians importing foreigners to kill Americans, have you ever thought of a time? Has there ever been a time in American history where foreigners have been brought in to shoot Americans, kill
Oh,
Americans?
golly. Golly, Matthew. Once upon a time, yeah, there was.
When was that?
1861 to 1865.
And I'm gonna piggyback off of your piggyback off of the piggyback.
Hell
It
yeah.
becomes even more
Yeah,
hypothetical.
but when we say importing foreigners, it's not we're not talking they go get their green card and they become an American citizen legally. We're talking about using taxpayer monies to fly them into the United States, give them a cell phone that's
Mhm.
paid for American tax dollars, and then a stipend to live. And then basically to just go out and mingle with the population. In my opinion, I think it was done to rig the next United States Census. You put a bunch of people where you need people, and then you could maybe skew the census that way.
For sure, because the census tracks people, not citizens, and we divvy out our congressional seats based off of people and not
Mhm.
citizens.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, and I agree with you, man. You said it, but in my own words, it's the American politicians that are the biggest threat to America. Um,
Motherfucker, I said that.
no, I said that.
I said that.
All right, fine. You said that. Then I'm just piggybacking off of your piggyback again,
Turtles all
to
the way
say that.
down, brother.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, they give out they're they're flying them in, paying for the flight, giving them a cell phone, giving them this, that, and the other thing, and then they're also giving them driver's license and putting them behind the wheel of 80,000-pound road missiles and killing Americans that way too.
yep. And they're also lining their pockets with lobbyist money. Um,
Good God.
yeah,
Real.
that that is how American laws
It doesn't have
go.
you don't have to register as a foreign lobbyist. You're not a foreign interest group, even though you have a foreign country's name in your title.
Yeah, our politicians ran our fucking country into the ground. They've lost us countless wars, make stupid fucking policies that are basically just good for their pocketbooks.
I'm not gonna agree with that.
Next question for you here, Matt. What are your thoughts on the current state of the United States military?
So I would say just the line troops, the fighting force of the military, solid, absolutely combat effective. I mean, there's some things we need to work out, like force structuring and what theater we're going to fight and how we're going to fight it, and maybe not getting rid of the A-10s and what things like that, getting women out of the military, things to work out. But overall, the fighting forces, state of the fighting force is strong, but our leadership is somewhat close to, I think it would be safe to compare it to dog shit. And then you just look at all of the generals from let's just take the last 25 years of losing wars and lying to the people, lying to Congress, which is the people, and then none of them being held accountable. So that is concerning. The latter half of that is concerning.
Yeah, I agree with you there. All right, next question for you here. How would you define a just war or a just use of the United States military?
I am of two minds about it, one of which would be using the military in a way that benefits the American people. That could be, I don't know, deploying them to the border, things like that. But just to go establish a democracy in Afghanistan, no, um, not just to go take oil and actually use it. It's probably not good, but I'm about that. I'd want my mom to have cheap gas in her SUV as she goes into retirement age, things like that. So if we're gonna go plunder, but we'll actually be better off, then that's just the way the world works. So I would say that would be somewhat just. And then on the other side of the coin, it would be, I would refer to St. Thomas Aquinas and his just war theory. So from that, I would say a justified war would be repelling an invasion of our homeland. And then just, if someone declares war on us, of course, go kick their teeth in. And then also fighting for Christendom, which would never really happen, especially not with who controls our government. But yeah, I would say fighting for Christendom would be justified use, but that's just my personal view.
I think that's fair. On that note, what current plight or war do you think warrants American troop involvement and why?
I would say none of them. There are possibly like, some invasions of war of opportunity that could make us better off, but our political disposition is way too messed up right now. The American people can't decide, you know, was this election stolen? Was that one stolen? Can men have babies? This and that. So, and before we go and topple other governments or go get, send, poor white kids off to war, we need to figure out some of our domestic issues, before we start going abroad. And because you look at the end of Afghanistan, and by the end of it, there's freaking transgender flags flying in Kabul. No Americans died for that.
Hang
So,
on. Hang on. Oh, I want to touch on that briefly. That is real. That actually legitimately happened over the U.S. Embassy in Kabul in 2021, right before everything took a shit in June of 2021. They got told to take it down. The embassy staff was directed to take it down.
By
But
the
the fact
Taliban?
of no, by the State Department.
Oh, okay.
Probably because we were quietly, and in June of 2021, it hadn't exactly broken mainstream that we were negotiating with the fucking Taliban. However, we were in active chats with the Taliban in June of 2021, and some fucking they can't punish this person, okay? Because it's Pride Month in the US DoD. They're not going to punish the obviously mentally ill person that was deranged enough to be like, you know what would be a great idea is while things are not going fucking great in Afghanistan, let's put a fucking pride flag up over the embassy in Kabul. As far as I know, nobody was held to account. They were just told to bring the transgender flag down from over the embassy, U.S. embassy in Kabul in June of 2021. And nobody was punished for that. Nobody was punished for that.
yeah, so when we're going to go to war, and we're going to, especially with the third world countries, and we're going to project the American way of life onto that country. What is that? We haven't figured that out yet.
The troubling part for me is that like it's easy for American service members to look at Afghans and be like, these people are so fucking backwards. They don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. But the truth about the difference between Afghans and Americans, as I understand it, and this is not opinion, this is scientific fact, and it's backed up by research, and I'll leave my citations in the comments, is that the people in Afghanistan live firmly in the fucking real world. It is the realest of real worlds. Like, I personally saw more dead children in Afghanistan that died through misadventure than I saw people die from getting bullets put through them. It was close. It was a close number. But you think like, oh, one dead kid, shit happens. But like the second time, you're like, that's not a lot, but it is a strangely large number for two of them in 3 months. And then by the third one, you're like, how many of these fucking dead kids do you have in this village? And that's because they live so far in the real world. Like it's still a dangerous place for an Afghan is the real world. And we come from America where it's not fucking dangerous. Like if you burn yourself with your coffee from McDonald's, you're gonna live at the lake house for the rest of your fucking life because you're gonna sue the dick off of McDonald's. We live in this like super neutered, fake, not real world. And so we see the Afghans like they're so fucking backwards. They don't even understand how important it is to put the pride of the transgender flag up over the embassy in Kabul. And in reality, they see it and they know what it is. And they're like, I woke up in a fucking cave this morning, the same cave that my father and his father lived in, and that our patrilineal or patriarchal lineage has lived in for 3,000 years. And I come downtown where the invaders are, and they're mocking my religion, and they're wondering why we're giving information to the Taliban. And that's crazy as fuck to me. I got super sidetracked, but I'm super fired up about that fucking flag thing.
I think that's fair. I think Americans live on echo chambers on social media. That's how we view our world. And then there is a real world that a lot of Americans have never seen.
Real world, a tractor will kill you. The motorcycle will kill you. The wadi, when it gets full of water, that'll kill you. There used to be lions in Afghanistan. I don't know if you knew that, Maynard. They don't live there no more.
The fucking heat will kill you.
The
A
heat
lot
will
of
kill
people
you.
don't understand this, even in the United States. The heat will fucking kill you. It gets a bunch of people when it first starts to get hot in the United States. But the fucking heat will kill you. It's a luxury to live in air-conditioned buildings.
They'll kill your
The,
ass, is what they
the heat
say.
will kill you fucking dead as a doornail very quickly. Anything else you want to talk about on that, Matt?
No, I think that's it. Just we've got domestic issues that we have to work through, cultural issues we have to work through before we start exporting our culture.
That's fair.
Fair.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Well, Matt, we appreciate you. Thank you for giving us the information about you. I think it was very insightful, hopefully insightful for the listeners. And that's all three of our bios. So hopefully that gives the listener a little bit about us and who we are. And we appreciate you all listening.
I guess as we wrap this up, I have one question for you, Dakota. How'd you like walking into that General Amos question? You set me up there.
I did not even know that about you. And it was what do you like an inside insult, like no people wouldn't know. And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you got that challenge coin, and then you send the picture. I thought you were bullshitting me the whole fucking time, and then you like sent the picture of the challenge coin. I wouldn't show that off to people, but I mean, it is a cool get. But I wouldn't like go to the fucking what's it called? The place of the veterans drink, the
The
veterans fort.
VFW, the American
Yeah,
Legion.
yeah. I wouldn't go up there and be like, check this out. They'll fucking bring up bad memories, man. That's got to be the worst commandant in Marine
The
Corps history.
boomers of the Legion, the boomers of the Legion would be like, "Holy guacamole! Is that the
Lap it
general
up.
from the Marines that allowed my granddaughter to be an infantryman? I'll buy you two drinks, son."
Yeah.
Oh
Except
my
for in
God.
Oklahoma, where the VFWs and the Legions are mostly dry. I'm not gonna get into it.
Amos probably killed more fucking Marines by making us do sexual assault training like twice a year than by what he got killed in Afghanistan, to be honest. Like sitting through that shit was like, you know what? This ain't worth it. Kicking out all the Marines with the tattoos. He's like, you know what? We need to fucking make the Marine Corps have a strict tattoo policy.
That
That's
was
totally
Conway.
gonna.
That was Conway. Conway did that.
And Amos.
Amos relaxed some tattoo policy and fucked up the sleeves. Amos made us go sleeves down year round, but
Oh
it was
my God.
Conway that got a bunch of people kicked out for having sleeve tattoos. That was General 6'3", also James Conway.
I have the Surcom from his son. That's who signed my Surcom.
That's the
Was
guy that
his.
was in charge of the snipers that was
I
pissing on the
know.
dead Taliban. That's a
I know.
sick
And
get,
he,
dude.
yeah, it is a get. Um, cool dude.
Probably. He's probably just like one
Wasn't
of the
his
boys.
fault. Yeah,
Like he's got a touch of war criminal in him. Good on him. His dad was a
hardly a
fucking
war crime.
turd.
Hardly a war crime.
Well, war crimes are subjective. I think. You peed on a dead guy after we shot them a bunch of times with bullets, dude. What? How are you mad about that?
Imagine Americans being outraged over that.
Pick a fucking struggle, dude. You want to get pissed on or shot? Because I've seen some videos of both. Like,
No, but who would have thought? Oh, Matthew Brunnemann, Marine of the
All right.
fucking quarter.
Well, thanks for the interview, boys, and thanks for listening to the listeners. We got more coming up. Stay tuned.
The War Business Podcast is brought to you by Matthew Brunnemann, Brendan Clark, and Dakota Maynard. Editing by Stephanie Maynard. The theme song is California Wind by Bruno E. The War Business Podcast cover art is the copyrighted property of the War Business Podcast. The book, War Business, The Hired Guns of Helmand Province, is copyrighted by Wargate Books. Wargate Books is not responsible or liable for any material or conversations produced and expressed by the War Business Podcast.